Okay, I have a bit of a different product for you this time. It's a HiHiLL rechargeable mini camping light. I'm going to show you it closer up in a minute if you can't see it very well. I'm going to show you it turned on and demonstrated as well. But first I'm going to list the specs to you, what it does, what it's capable of. Then I'll show you it closer up, I'll show you it on. Then at the end I'll tell you the price and if I recommend it or not. Okay, I haven't had a product by HiHiLL before. This is, as the name suggests, a camping light, a small camping light. Now, why is this so special? What's the difference between any little light? I'm sure you've had, if you are somebody who camps, say, you don't have to use this for camping, that's just one use. But say you're somebody who's camping and you've probably had camping lights before. Well, what might make this a little different from the others? Well, it is rechargeable via USB. There isn't any AA or AAA batteries or anything like that to keep replacing and run out. If it starts to run low, you can just plug this in and say you have your laptop with you with plenty of power. You can easily plug into that quickly if it starts to run out, something like that. So that is really, really handy that it is rechargeable. So you can just plug into something very quickly and recharge it. It also has three different modes. There is a blinking mode, there is a dim mode, and a bright mode, as well as, of course, off. It is 180 lumens for brightness. It can be used indoors, outdoors, in a tent, whatever. Its model is LTCL1. And you might say, well, if I'm out camping somewhere where it's not easy to plug stuff in, although you might have a laptop or something with juice, uh, wouldn't it be better to perhaps just have batteries? Because if you're out camping in a tent or something, and even if you have your laptop, you don't want to be running your laptop out so quickly and things like that. Well, you would of course charge this before you go, and it lasts for about 10.5 hours. It lasts for over 10 hours, 10.5 hours. So if you're out for, say, one day, that might be enough. Yeah, it might be all you need. Or you might, if you're out for a couple of days, the most you might have to do is plug into something once for a while to get it charged back up. So it does have an extremely long battery life between charges, which is really, really good. It has a built-in 1800 milliamp an hour lithium battery, so it can be used as emergency power as well. So say you desperately need to phone somebody, say there's an emergency, you need to use your phone, but your phone is out of power, you haven't charged your phone recently, but this you haven't used, it's got full power. Well, it has an output slot, so you can actually plug a USB into this and use it as a power bank to power your phone. So this is primarily, of course, be used as a mini camping light, but then if this has full power and something you want to use quickly, probably your smartphone is out of power, then you can just say, well, that is more important. Making it some phone call might be more important than this light, so you can plug your phone into this light and use it as a power source, and that could come in really handy in an emergency. So it's a really, really handy thing to have on you, not just for the light, but also for your phone. It is waterproof as well, and it is lightweight. Now, what about the flickering mode? I said there's three modes. There is normal warm light, and there is a dimmed light, and there's a flickering light. Well, is it just flickering? No, that is also for emergencies. That it flickers an SOS. So you probably go want this on one of the two main settings, normal or dim. And of course, if you have it on dim, it might last, make the battery last longer. But also, then if you need to, you could plug in your phone quickly to make an emergency call. Then if you're in an emergency, you can do that. Then you could put this on the SOS mode as well. And people might not be able to see it from huge different distances because this is a small little light. It's not a huge flare or something like that, but it's possible that somebody in the distance could see a light, and if it's flickering like this, they might know to go in that direction and check it out. So it could actually be a real lifesaver. This you can use it as an emergency power for your smartphone in an emergency. You can also have it flickering an SOS. So this is a good safety tool to have, not just a rechargeable light. So it's a good all-rounder. Because it is LED as well, LEDs are generally better at absorbing shock than the tinier incandescent bulbs. So it's a bit more sturdy, you know, it can take a few more knocks than other types of lights as well because it does use the newer LEDs instead of the older style lights. That's another plus as well. Its input is DC 5 volt 1 amp. Its output is DC 5 volt 1 amp as well. So let's take a look at it a little closer. It actually looks quite nice. The light itself there, you see turned off, almost looks like a bit orangey. Then you have a gold kind of rim. Then it's black there. This is a little plastic flap with a USB symbol. It says input. So you would lower that. Then you'd plug a mini USB cable that is included in the box into the input to charge. Input, this, I'm sure you're aware of this, just to clarify and be clear. Input is how you charge it. You plug in a mini USB cable, and there is one included to charge it when it's either out of juice or you just want to make sure it's full. Then on the other side you have the same thing, but it says output. That is if you need to charge something using this as emergency power. So say you want to plug in your phone. There is underneath that, I'm not sure if I'm in focus, but under this there is a full size normal USB type A end. That's a full size regular USB end. So you put the full size end into this, then either your lightning cable end or your mini USB end or whatever into your phone, and that output is to give your external device power, so such as your smartphone or whatever. Then that is all there is to see on it apart from a logo. Now on the bottom we just have a label saying input, output and details like that. Then there's a big orange button, you press that to turn it on, and then it does have a little small handle there as well. It's very well designed. It's very, very nice little mini light. I really like it. And I love how it's not just a little portable rechargeable light, but you can also have it flickering for an SOS, and you can use it as an emergency power for your smartphone if you get in a bad way, you know, like an emergency. And there's an on button here, plus it does have a handle. So shall we see it turned on? Now that is it turned on. Now I'm going to turn off the light in a minute. The light is on, it's still in the room. There's dim, and there is flashing. Although, to be honest, I think that is just flashing. I don't think that is technically an SOS. Yeah, to me that looks like it's just flashing, but still that is going to be used for an SOS. Now let me just turn off the light in the room. Okay, I don't know if this really does it justice, but it is quite a bright light. On the desk here, it does light up. Hold on, if I put my hand here, hold on. Now, I'm not sure if that sort of shows, but as you can see, the main light is off in the room, and it is lighting up the desk. It's lighting up the whole of the top of the desk, and illuminating the wall, in the back there. So it does cover a good enough area for cooking or reading. It is fairly bright. It doesn't cover a huge wide area, but it has kind of lit up this whole room very, very slightly. Then close to it, it's quite bright. So it's definitely going to be bright enough for cooking or reading or something like that. Even though it's not going to exactly illuminate up a huge area, it's more than enough for camping. It's going to light up your tent really, really well. Let's put it on dim. There is dim. Let me just cover up. As you can probably see, we're covered up and my camera's focusing differently now. You can tell the background isn't as bright as it was before. It is dimmer, and it's a kind of a, if you looked at it, it was quite bright, you know, hard to look at. This now is kind of a soft glow, and it's still, even on dim, I would recommend using dim as much as possible because it's going to save the battery life. And this does light up enough of an area to read or possibly even cook by. You're not necessarily going to need that bright setting all the time. This is enough for the average use, such as in a tent or doing a bit of cooking. it hasn't lit up the walls. On the bright setting, it lit up actually the walls in this whole room a little bit. This doesn't, so it's definitely for a much closer, smaller area, but still, it's enough for reading and possibly even cooking by. So I would actually recommend that if you get this, you use the dim setting if you can to save battery life, because the dim actually works pretty well, and bright is extra good. Let's just put it on flickering. Now this, I'm actually going to turn off pretty quick just in case, because actually I'm not epileptic or anything, but it is pretty... Flickering was pretty hard for me even to look at. It was really flickering very rapidly. Now, that might alert people. If you have that flickering and somebody's out in the middle of nowhere or somebody's at a campsite and they see it rapid flickering, they might come and investigate. I'm not sure why it's not Morse code. I'm not sure why it's not the actual SOS kind of thing. Dot dot dot. That what I'm talking about. I thought that's what it's got to be, but it should still. If you're out in the middle of nowhere somewhere like a campsite or out in the wilderness or whatever, if somebody sees this rapid flickering, they should still know that it's perhaps something wrong and go and investigate. I thought it was going to be an actual SOS, but still, it should get the job done. Let me just turn this off a sec. Just briefly show you these two little circles. The one on the left there is actually a power light that glows red on the bottom to show you've got power. The other one is a charging indicator. Okay, yeah, so what's the price and what do I think of it? It's actually quite reasonably priced. Some of these little gadgets, especially if they rechargeable and bright and do various things, can be like 15, 20, maybe £30. This is actually not even £10, it's £8, it's $7.99 in the UK. If it's available in the US, I will put the US dollar price as a text overlay on the screen as well. So I think that's good. For $7.99, you get this camp light that is quite bright and lasts 10.5 hours. Or you can have it on dim, and that is enough for most uses, at least in a compact area like a tent. So if you're in a tent and want to read, you can probably use this just on dim, and that will help extend the battery life as much as possible as well. Or if you're out in a small area, like out in the front of a tent and you're cooking, you might not need the bright. You might be able to get away with dim as well. But if you need that extra light for, say, cooking, if that's not quite enough, then you can use bright, and bright is very bright. It is extremely bright and lights up quite a decent size area. So this is really good. It's a good light because dim is enough for, I would say, 95% of the time, and then bright if in occasion if you need a bit more light. Then you can also power things like a mobile phone in an emergency using its power. If your phone runs out and you need to make a 999 call or 911 call or whatever, you can quickly plug your phone into this. As long as this has a bit of power, that will get your phone up and running, hopefully long enough to make an emergency call. It's rechargeable, but yet it lasts a long time even though it's small and rechargeable. And it has the flickering emergency light mode as well. So all around, this is an amazing device for $7.99. I really didn't expect something like this before I first took a look, to have all those functions and be as bright either, or have as good battery life. So it's an amazing all around, and I really do actually recommend it. If you're going out camping, hiking, whatever, I recommend you take this with you, even if it's just as a backup power source for your phone. It's an amazing little device, and it's small and compact and lightweight and waterproof as well. So a link will be in the description. Please like, comment and subscribe, and if you're watching this as a review on the Amazon product page, please hit the yes button next to was this review helpful to you. That will help me out a lot as well. Thanks for watching.